axial pain to begin with, which will be gradually progressive, and then they will always have constitutional symptom of some kind. They will be pale, fever, some loss of weight, some loss of appetite. Basically, the patient won't be all right. He would be a sick patient. And then if there is no compression, they will have radiation, some neurodeficit might be there. They might be immunocompromised in some way. That is, they could be diabetic, they could be some rheumatoid arthritis, they could be stressed out, like very heavy work and no time to rest, night duties. Even those people are getting tuberculosis or those kind of infections in the spine. Significant local tenderness, like I mentioned. In later stages, they can have local deformities like gibbous, kyphus, and those things. Now, always remember that biopsy is essential for any infection of the spine as per the government protocols. You just cannot start AKT without doing a biopsy, full stop. So there is no two things about it. If you start, the government can catch hold of you. So any patient you find has been started on empirical AKT without doing a biopsy or a tissue diagnosis, he should be advised to get a biopsy done. Okay. And then I come to osteoporotic fractures. Like I said, this also is predominantly a physiotherapist domain because these are old age patients. We don't want much intervention in them. They are already going into kyphosis. Their bones are very weak. They fracture at the slightest of trauma. So minimal trauma like a sneeze, a jerk while travel, like they're traveling, they might give you a history of recent travel, some lifting, bending, and suddenly they start developing back pain. These patients always complain of turning in bed causes painful. Any change of position causes pain because that's when your muscles come into play. Once you attain a position, your muscles contract and then they stabilize the spine. So whenever there is a change of position, these people will complain of pain. Now, usually all these osteoporotic fractures happen at the thoracolumbar junction, which is the highest stress region. It's the junctional area. But these patients will always come to you with low back pain. They won't complain of pain in the thoracolumbar region. They will complain at the region of L4, 5, alpha as well. So this is always a referred pain. The fracture will be there in the thoracolumbar region, but the pain will be complained of in the lower back. So you should always, I mean, even orthopedic surgeons miss this, that they do a X-ray of the LS spine and they say there is nothing. They only degenerative changes. While the fracture will be at either D11 or D12 region. And then that region, if it is not covered in the LS spine X-ray, these fractures are always missed. Then they might present with symptoms of myelopathy, then it becomes a surgical case straight away. If they are bedridden, they can develop bed sores in the sacrum or trochanter, so we have to get them up and moving. X-ray TL spine, thoracolumbar spine is diagnostic. And coming to treatment, there's some simple treatment like if the red arrow which is pointing there, you can see that it's a compression fracture of, I guess it's the D12 vertebra. And you see there is a small cavity developing there. So when we see this, these patients have pain which is long standing in duration, maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Typically change in position gives them pain. So very simple procedure is there where we put in a needle under local anesthesia and inject liquid cement into that cavity. Once that cavity is filled, immediately the patient gets relief from pain because that cement sets inside. This is known as vertebroplasty. And once the cement sets within 15 minutes, there is complete relief of pain. So local anesthesia, old age patients with comorbidities, 10 to 15 minutes procedure and they get complete relief from pain. So it's a very rewarding surgery. Now there are others who have got, if you see the MRI, you see that big white cavity where there's a huge cavity. You see that there is no compression posteriorly as well. If I try to put in cement into that cavity, then it's too much of a cement and that can cause some pushing of the bone onto the nerves behind. So in such huge cavities, we usually prefer fixation. These are done percutaneously through stab incisions. We put in these screws, connect them with rod. This is all new technology. Also, you put in cement, but to augment that cement, we put in these screws also. This is known as a percutaneous pedicle screw fixation. So even this is possible now. Then there are these conventional, long, time consuming like draining surgeries for these fractures, where this lady had multiple osteoporotic fractures. If you see the middle one that has got a white cavity, let's say 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So D12 is fractured, which is an old fracture. D11 is normal. D10 is a fresh fracture with a cavity. That white space is a cavity. And D9 is normal. D8 again has a old fracture. Now the problem is not only the cavity, but if you see, there is a bone fragment which has gone behind and that is pressing on the nerve. Now this lady had a neurodeficit. She had some bladder issues due to the nerve compression. So we had to do a conventional open job, wherein I went from the posterior approach, putting pedicle screws, filled in cement in that cavity, and did a long fixation along with some sublaminar wires. So this is a big job. So you have to have a big setup with the ICU backup and those things. This lady is doing fine. I think she has completed 2 years or so. She's doing quite well. Here the role of physiotherapist is very important. A lot of rehab and post-op management depends on how good the physiotherapist can manage this patient. Left to themselves, they can come out with implant failure. All these screws will come out and they will have a lot of complications. So here there is a big role of a physiotherapist. And then tumors, usually here there's a straightforward role of a surgeon, and once the surgery is done, then comes the role of a physio. They always have axial pains, night pains. There might be a history of primary. If it's a bony metastasis, like the common primary tumors are breast, prostate, lungs, thyroid, and renal, which metastasize to spine. In multiple myelomas, they can have spinal lesions. These patients will have constitutional symptoms like fever, loss of weight, loss of appetite, some local tenderness. Later in the disease, they might develop neurodeficit. Even a screening MRI will show the lesion. Always biopsy is essential. If the primary is not known, we will know the primary from a good biopsy done under local anesthesia. Now, this is not a vertebral body tumor, but it's a nerve, like a spinal cord tumor. If you see at the level of C7 to T3 or T4, you can see a lesion there. This turned out to be a schwannoma. It was a big lesion. So I do these intradural tumors as well. So we did a laminectomy and removed this tumor. It was almost a 4 centimeter long tumor. And pre-op, she was almost a non-walker. She was unable to walk and had clonus and hyperreflexia in the lower limbs. And post removal of tumor, within a month she started walking. So these are very rewarding surgeries, but should be done carefully in a good setup. I would like to invite any questions. I think we'll stop here. It will become too much of a overdose if we try to finish off all pathologies related to back pain. So we'll stop here for today. The next part will continue on Thursday. I'd like to invite any kind of questions, as silly as they can be. I don't mind. You can ask anything. Yeah, Prerak. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So now, if there are any questions.
So there is a question why SI joint infection is prevalently seen in more in males.
No, it is not at all like that. The SI joint pain, if it happens in a male patient, it could be something serious.
Okay.
If in a female, usually it's post-pregnancy.
Okay.
Even females can have an infection of the SI joint, so it cannot be ruled out. But males having a SI joint pain, it's not so common.
Okay. Yes. Next question. Who will take the next question?
Coccygodynia. What will be the? Hello.
Yes, sir. I can hear you.
Yeah, someone is saying they are not able to hear.
Yeah. No problem.
So what was the question? Next question.
Next question. You want to type or you want to ask directly? Please go ahead.
Let them ask directly. Whoever has a question, they can just.
Hmm. Hello, sir.
Yes, Nidhi,
Yeah,
Am
please.
I audible?
Yes,
Am
yes,
I
Nidhi.
yeah,
audible, sir?
yeah.
Hello, sir. I am Nidhi from Indore. Actually, I want to ask you regarding post-op laminectomy thing. Most of the surgeon will suggest a after post-op laminectomy, a brace is required, and most of the surgeons will not go to it. Well, it also depends on the patient age and other things factors like about his or her MMT muscle strength. All the factors are required. But what your opinion about that is require any post of brace and is required for the patient for a long term benefit?
So that's a very common and a good question because I think most of the other people in this group will have that doubt. So I have a talk on Friday, Prerak, isn't it? Friday, I think,
So
which
it's
is about post-op management of a spine patient and what do we expect. But I will answer this question here, where scientifically, if you go by evidence, there is no role of a brace post-laminectomy. Scientifically, there is no role of a brace post laminectomy because when you do a laminectomy, you are expected to remove only that much lamina which will not compromise the stability of the spine. So post-op, if your spine is stable like it was pre-op, you don't need to have a brace. So why do we recommend a brace? Even I give brace to all my patients. So they get some kind of support. In the initial post-op period, the muscles are not so very active. So they might have some pain with movements. They do get a feeling of being held together due to that brace. Now on a long-term basis, usually I don't recommend brace beyond a period of 3 months in my laminectomy or fixation patients. For the initial 3 months, you should build up their muscle strength so that uh, none of my patients require a brace after 3 months. There are some patients who will say we feel better with brace, they can use it, there is no harm.
Okay, thank you, sir.
okay. Sir, what is one of the major reasons or major causes of SI joint pain?
So SI joint pain, like I mentioned, in pregnancy females, like we know the mechanism of delivery where the fetus squeezes through the pelvis and then comes out. And while the fetus grows in the abdomen, the whole pelvic ligaments, they are all stretched. And once the baby is delivered, post pregnancy, most of the patients, I don't know any place like, or there might be very few places which might be aggressively doing physiotherapy post pregnancy. If you do a good core strengthening and Kegel exercises, these patients may not have developed SI joint pain. But most of the pregnancies, post pregnancy, they are neglected and then they develop SI joint pain. So that's why it is so common. Almost 95 or more than 95% of females, they will have back pain post pregnancy
Okay.
due to these SI joint.
Okay. Sir, one silly questions. What does AKT mean? AKT means?
After AKT, sorry, I used short forms. AKT is anti-COX treatment. So that
Treatment.
is
Yeah.
the TB medicines.
Okay.
Uh,
So we
I
have
will
one
use
more question. In
it.
multiple level fixation, is there any long time restrictions from your side as a surgeon's point of view?
See, the level of fixation is not important. It's how good your fixation is. So now, when do I restrict my patient? I think these are all topics I wanted to cover in my
Okay.
short. But if the bone strength is not good, like in osteoporotic patients, if my fixation is not as strong, like maybe one or two of my screws haven't gone in so well, I didn't get a good hold in the pedicle, my pedicle broke while I'm inserting the screws, or the pathology is extensive. There is 2-3 level tuberculosis, 2-3 level tumor where we had to skip those 3 levels and then do above 3 and below 3 level fixation. Such cases, we usually advise caution.